Hello and welcome. This is the first video I have ever posted here, so if it's not clear or perhaps boring, then that's my fault, and I'll hope to make it better next time. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy.
Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is add in every shape we're going to need for the entire project right at the start. So all we're going to need is this cube. We're going to need a circle, which you can move over. We're going to need cylinder, and we'll need a plane. That's it. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure the plane, hold Alt, do GRS to clear the location. Going to scale it on up so it is nice and big. Then we are going to take our cylinder and hide it underneath. Grab our circle, rotate on the y-axis by 90 degrees. And then we are going to scale it up just a bit. And we're going to grab our cube and scale it down and bring it up a little. So we're in this now. Next, we're going to grab our camera, hold down Alt, GRS to clear its location, rotation, and scale. Then we're going to grab it and move it along the x-axis and the z-axis. Rotate 90 degrees on the z-axis, rotate 90 degrees on the y-axis. And now it is facing our objects. So in order to get in our camera view, we're going to move our cursor here so it turns into these little arrows. Right click, vertical split, and split the view. Then do it again here, but horizontal split. Turn this into shader editor. Turn this view into the camera view by pressing numpad 0. Then we will be in the view here. Go to camera settings, viewport display. Turn this up all the way to 1 so that it just shows what our camera can see. Grab the camera and bring it down so it's nice and close to the floor. Alright, perfect. Now we can't really see our arch here because it's got no thickness, it's just a wire. So I'm actually going to turn off overlays there. So now you see we can't see it. All you gotta do is go into edit mode and extrude it with E along the x-axis to give it some thickness. And then again, hit A to select all. Extrude again, but this time right click to drop it. Alt S to shrink it in. Just like that. Looks good. We'll scale it down a little and bring it closer to the camera. I'm actually going to rotate the camera to face up just a bit. Alright, that looks good. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is take our archway, go to modifiers, and add on an array modifier. Set the count to 25. The factor x to 0, and the z to -10, let's say. That's too close. Let's try -15. Better. Alright. Grab our cube, move it on back a bit, down. That looks like a good spot. We're going to reduce the count of these until it doesn't stick off the back. That's good. Next, we are going to grab our plane, extrude it down a tiny bit so it just has a little bit of thickness to it. Then select everything and subdivide until the geometry actually has lines on the sides or near the sides of our arch path here. It doesn't have to be exact, but this is close enough. Then we're going to hit 7 on the numpad to come up on this view and just deselect all of the verts that are surrounding our path. And then make a new vertex group right here, add a group, assign with a weight of 1 so that all these are in it, but there's a weight of 0 on all of these faces. Now we're going to go into our, actually we're going to scale this down first. I need to be smaller. So hit S to scale, Shift Z, make it nice and thin like that. Now we're going to go to particle settings add in a new system, hair, click render, object, and select our cylinder as the object. So now you can see that there's a bunch of cylinders growing out of our plane, but the issue is that they are in our tunnel, but we want to fix them. Go down and click vertex groups, density, select group, and like magic, they are no longer in our tunnel. So next thing we're going to do is actually rotate our cylinder because we don't want them lying flat. So, sorry, we've actually got to go in here and check object rotation, then rotate this 90 degrees on the y-axis, and you can see now they are sticking up out of here. So what we're going to do is actually make them a little... We're going to add some variance to their size by going here, we're scale randomness to 1, and bring this up. Oh, there's one right in front of our camera. We do not like that. We'll just change the seed so that he gets out of the way. We are going to grab our archway here and actually duplicate it and move it so that it is way in the back here, and then remove the array so there's just a single one. Scale it down just a bit so that it's visible as not part of the same array. It looks a little smaller now. I think that's about everything in place. So now we've got to make the materials. So let's switch our view to material preview and rendered mode up here. You can actually see, oh, we got to get rid of our light. You can see up in the rendered view that there's still a gray background, but we don't want that. So we can actually go to the world settings and turn the strength to 0. So now it's totally black. I'm going to add materials now to a few of these. So we're going to select our plane, add a material, and call it reflection plane. Select our archway, we'll call it glowing arch. Call this one glowing arch 2. Our cube is hiding there, so we'll do glowing cube. And we'll just call this glowing sill. That's fine. So in order to make them glow, we can actually just set an emission color. Yeah, that looks good. And we can turn up the strength a bit. Now you'll see that they are visible here and are definitely lit up, but they aren't they don't have that radiance or glow around them. So if we go to our render settings again and just select bloom, now they are glowing. You can turn the threshold down to make them glow more, and also the radius to make the glow bigger. That looks fine for now though. So we're going to move up again and go back to the archway here, the main archway. And we will set the emission to a sort of purple color. And actually these, you can see the geometry on these, which I kind of don't want. So we are going to also put a subdivision modifier, set it to 2 levels, and put it above the array. And now these are nice and smooth. So the next thing we're going to do is select our plane here. We want it to be reflective, so we're going to add metallic to 1, specular to 1, roughness to 0. But you'll notice that it doesn't reflect anything now, it's just black. So to fix that, what we're going to do is go back to our render settings and make sure we turn on screen space reflections as well. Turn off half res trace, and you'll see trace precision is exactly what it sounds like, the reflections accuracy. I kind of like the fuzzier look, so we're going to set it to that. Going to turn the bloom radius up just a little bit, and that looks good. So finally we're going to grab our cube and also make it glowing. Add emission to it, and we will make the cube, how about yellow? I like this color. So that's looking good. Now in order to get the wire effect that I had, we are just going to go ahead and click on our reflective floor here, then duplicate it, right click to drop it, get rid of our particle system here on the new one. Now go to add modifier, go to wireframe, and you'll see that we have this giant grid. So we're going to turn the thickness down to 0.01. Even that's too much, 0.001. That looks a little better. Now we can go and remove the reflection material because we don't want that anymore. So we will make a new copy of it and just call it glow plane, I guess. Or how about glow grid? Add emission to it. You can change the offset to make it go up or beneath the floor. Kind of like it really barely sticking out like that. And finally, I don't want it to be showing inside of the tunnel here. So we're going to go back to edit mode and actually can hit Alt click to select this edge loop and just delete the vertices. And now you can see it's only on the outside. So we can now select our other one, our original plane, and I kind of want to make it a little rough so that the reflections aren't perfect. That looks pretty good. And finally, our other ring in the back, going to make the same pink as the other rings, or these cylinders rather. Oh, yes, and subdivide this as well. Subdivision, turn it up, and it'll make that really bright in the back. You know, I think we'll make a background as well. Now, if you find yourself in a situation like this, where you want this to be filled back up again, something you can do actually is just select these edge loops, just like before, hold Alt Shift, and then click on them, like so, and then hit F3 and type bridge edge loops, and it'll fill up, but you're missing this center, so you just hit Control R, and this yellow overlay will appear. Click, right click, and voila. I don't like that it shows both layers of that though, so just go to this front view, hit C for circle select, just select these front faces, hit Control I for select inverse, delete the vertices, and now you have your nice flat grid in the back. I think I will get rid of just the ones right behind the tunnel. So now it kind of looks like we almost have a portal effect. We could even extend these if we wanted. We could add more of them to go deeper. We're going to do the same wireframe technique on the cylinder that we have hiding down here. Just go and add wireframe. So now all of these will become a wire as well. And finally the cube, we will do the same thing, wireframe, but I want this to be a lot thicker. So now all of this is good, but we want to animate it. Now if you want to animate the cube, it's very simple. All we're going to do is click on this right here, this dot, for auto keying, and what that does is it's going to, rather than me having to hit I and put in a keyframe where I want, I can just transform it in some way and it automatically will key it like so. I'm going to undo that for now though. Instead we're going to rotate it on the y-axis by 45 and the x-axis by 45. So that it's sideways like this. So our keyframes are set there. So we're going to skip ahead, let's say to frame 30, and rotate it on the z-axis 180. Then frame 60 and do the same thing. RZ 180. And you can see now it's spinning if we hit play. Give it a nice spin there. It's pretty fast though, and I don't want that. So let's scale it on up to half of the length of the animation, which if we go over here, we can see is, let's make it 300 frames at 30 FPS, so that's 10 seconds long. So we can actually see that that is a much slower spin now. It's still a little fast actually, so I think we'll scale this all the way up so that this is on frame 300 at the end. And now it's a nice slow spin. And now without rotating anything else, I kind of like the idea of do not touch frame 1 and 300, but let's put the timeline about halfway through these two, and we'll move it down a little bit. And then also same thing about halfway, it doesn't really matter, move it down a little. And then on the center one, we can move it up a little bit. And now our cube will slowly move slightly up and down as it's rotating around here. And that is looking pretty good. So in order to get the final render out, we can pick a directory, which by default is just under your OS's main drive, and it's a TMP folder. Mine's already full of lots of extra files. Since this is an animation, normally I would suggest you export them all as PNG images and then you convert it to a video file later on. But since this is so quick, again, we're just going to click FFmpeg video. And under encoding, I'll pick MPEG-4 and H.264 here. That's fine for all this. So now we get Control F12. As you can see, these frames are going out very quickly. This should only take a minute, 2 minutes to render the whole thing. Anyway, that is the end of this first project. I hope you guys enjoyed it, maybe learned something, maybe made something cool yourself. Also, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, just let me know. Maybe there's something you want me to make a video about or something that you need explained. I'll be happy to do so. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.